I previously talked about the diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide across the respiratory membrane. So you'll recall that that needs to be moist because the gases have to first be dissolved in water, and then it should be thin in order for the rate of diffusion to be quick, and it also needs to have a large surface area. Now, one thing that we did talk about was the partial pressures of the gases and how important that is in determining the diffusion of the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So we can talk about the delta pressure the delta partial pressure, the change in the partial pressure of oxygen, and the change in the partial pressure of CO2. So this difference is related to the inside versus the outside. So in terms of the difference in partial pressure, one example would be the partial pressure of oxygen in the air we breathe minus the partial pressure of oxygen in blood entering the alveoli. So this would be the capillaries that surround the alveoli. And there is a very important design to our circulatory system that allows for diffusion to be maximized. And so we have two parts of the circulatory system. We have what is referred to as the systemic part of the circulatory system. And this goes from the heart and it transports blood out to the body and then back to the heart. And then we have the pulmonary, so these are actually circuits. We have the pulmonary circuit, which takes blood out from the heart to the lungs and back to the heart. So we have this double circuit circulation, and here we're talking about mammals in particular. And this double circuit circulation helps to maintain a big difference in the concentration of gases. So if we look at this diagram right here, in general, they show deoxygenated blood as blue, but that is not correct. It is just a different color. It's kind of a lighter red. Really oxygenated blood tends to be a dark red. So when we look at this difference, we can see that when we're breathing it in, we can see that the partial pressure of oxygen is 160 millimeters of mercury. And then blood coming in to the capillaries of the lungs right here, this would be the pulmonary circuit as it takes it out to the lungs. In the capillaries, we see that the partial pressure of oxygen here is 40 millimeters of mercury. And so the difference in this would be up here, we would have 160 millimeters of mercury minus, minus 40 millimeters of mercury. So that means the difference would be 120 millimeters of mercury. And that's high. And if you remember, you could plug that into that formula that I showed you to calculate the rate of diffusion. And so this system is designed to increase that rate of diffusion because deoxygenated blood is what goes to the capillaries of the lungs to be picked up. Now, the systemic circuit here is shown as it passes out, say, for example, the aorta. It goes up to the head region and back in, but it also goes out to the body. So here we're passing blood out to the body, and so that would be systemic. So we have blood going up to the head and then down to the lower torso. So that would be systemic circulation because it is carrying it out to the bottom, which is like system-wide, you can think of. Pulmonary means lungs. So that is a way to remember the difference between the systemic and the pulmonary circuits of the circulation. And we're going to talk more about that when we get to that circulatory.